We're turning to the car industry now because the US and Europe have been going after China recently for unfairly propping up its electric car industry.
Have you ever wondered what's causing the global slowdown in electric vehicle sales? Despite their futuristic appeal and environmental benefits, EVs are facing unexpected hurdles. The electric vehicle market, once surging with growth and promise, is showing signs of a slowdown. According to The Globe, the bustling cities of the US to the historic streets of Europe, the initial excitement that fueled the EV revolution is dimming. Even in the UK, a slight dip in the market share of new electric cars in 2023 has astonished everyone. You know, even Tesla, the name we all associate with electric vehicles, hasn't been able to escape this trend. They've been at the forefront of revolutionizing the car industry, but they've hit a bit of a bump in the road. In the first quarter of 2023, they've sold 161,000 cars. But fast forward to the same in 2024, that number fell to 140,000 cars. That's a drop of 13.3%. You know, it's not just about the drop in numbers. It's like the whole scene is shifting. There are a bunch of reasons why people aren't as excited as they used to be. You've got things like inflation and problems with the supply chain that are making things harder and more expensive to produce stuff. And then, on the other side, you've got folks who are feeling the pinch in their wallets, so they're thinking twice before they shell out for new tech like electric vehicles. It's a tough situation all around. And then there's the whole issue with the infrastructure for electric vehicles. Sure, it's getting better, but it's still not on par with what we have for regular cars. We're seeing more charging stations pop up, but they're still not as handy as your neighborhood gas station. Plus, there's this thing called range anxiety. It's the fear people have about running out of juice in the middle of nowhere with no charging station in sight. That's definitely making some folks think twice about going electric. Then there is the competition. The EV market is no longer a niche. It's crowded with new entrants from established automotive giants to innovative startups. This competition drives innovation but also divides consumer attention and loyalty. Despite these challenges, the EV market is far from defeated. Governments and environmental agencies continue to push for greener transportation as a means to combat climate change. Incentives and subsidies are still in place in many regions, encouraging consumers to consider EVs as a viable option. Now, when it comes to Tesla, they're not just sitting back. This is a company that's known for bouncing back and coming up with new ideas. They've got a solid group of customers who love what they do, and they're known for making top-notch products. So, even though times are tough, it's likely that Tesla will pull through. And they're not lowering their sights either. They've got big plans for the future. They're looking to boost their sales by about 50% every year, with a goal of selling 2.7 million cars in 2024. Although improving the infrastructure for charging EVs still needs to be improved to match the convenience offered by gas stations. This lack of infrastructure, coupled with range anxiety, continues to be a barrier for many potential EV buyers. You know, it's kind of wild, but right now there are about 90,000 electric vehicles just sitting in showrooms across America. They're not moving. It's like a big flashing neon sign that says, "Hey, we've got more supply than demand here." And that's causing big manufacturers like Ford to pump the brakes on production. Take Ford's electric pickup, the F-150 Lightning. They've actually had to dial back on making it because the sales just aren't hitting the mark. This shift in the market has prompted a strategic detour for several car makers. Ford, once charging ahead with an all-electric vision, is now steering towards hybrid vehicles. The company aims to become a significant player in the hybrid market by 2030. Of course, it's not alone in this change. Though the infrastructure for EVs is growing, it still lacks the convenience of traditional fueling options, causing range anxiety among potential buyers. Additionally, the end of government incentives in some regions has made EVs less financially appealing. But it's not just economic factors at play. The technology for EVs is still evolving, and some consumers are hesitant to commit to a fully electric vehicle. Hybrids offer a mild ground combining traditional engines with electric motors, providing better fuel efficiency without the range concerns of full EVs. So, how are manufacturers responding to these market signals? They are adjusting their production lines, while EVs are still part of the future. Hybrids are becoming a more immediate focus. This pivot allows car makers to continue their journey towards greener technology while meeting consumers' current needs and preferences. It's interesting, isn't it? While the US and Europe are seeing a dip in interest in electric vehicles, China is playing a whole different ballgame. They're seeing some pretty strong growth in the EV market, going against the grain of the global trend. It just goes to show you how different regions can have such different consumer behaviors and how varied the maturity of the EV markets can be. In China, the EV market is not just growing, it's booming. The country's EV market size is estimated to reach $305.57 billion by 2024 and is expected to continue its upward trajectory with a compounding annual growth rate of 17.15% from 2024 to 2021. Despite the challenges posed by the pandemic in 2020, China's automotive industry has seen significant growth in EV production, and this trend is set to continue. The Chinese government's focus on reducing exhaust emissions and developing sustainable transportation has led to the electrification of its transport sector. Cities like Guangzhou and Nanjing are planning to achieve 100% electrified public transit shortly, further fueling the growth of EVs. You know, it's not all doom and gloom. Take India, for example. Their EV market took a bit of a hit in February 2023, with sales dipping to a low. It seems like they're still figuring out how much the market is ready for EVs and how well their infrastructure can support it. But here is the interesting part. Despite these challenges, there are some positive signs. Electric vehicles made up 5.19% of all two-wheelers sold in India in February 2023. That's up from 3.23% in the same month the previous year. Sure, it's growth from a smaller base, but it shows that there is potential here, and it's not going unnoticed. The government has put up a hefty $3.2 billion incentive program, and that is pulling in some serious investments. Several factors explain the differing trends in these regions. In China, the government's strong policy support and incentives have played a crucial role in driving EV adoption. The country's aggressive targets for new energy vehicle sales have already been exceeded, and more than half of the electric cars on roads worldwide are now in China. In the US and Europe, there is a decline in EV sales. It's probably a mix of a few things. People in these areas might be a bit cautious about trying out new technology. And let's not forget about the charging infrastructure. It's not quite there yet. And that could be feeding into this fear of running out of charge, the range anxiety. The cost of getting an EV into your driveway remains high. And when you add changes in government policies that lead to fewer subsidies, it's no wonder some folks are thinking twice. Plus, the infrastructure isn't quite there yet. We're talking about the need for more fast chargers because without them, the convenience factor drops. There's a lot at risk, and the future how we get around is uncertain. Can the EV market bounce back from these unexpected setbacks? Comment your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Adios!